Welcome to the HR Data Labs podcast, now part of the WRKdefined podcast network. Join us as we explore the vital role of compensation, strategy, data, and people analytics in navigating today's complex business world. With the resources of WRKdefined, we're bringing you deeper insights and actionable ideas from top HR experts. Now, here are your hosts, David Turetsky and Dwight Brown. Hello and welcome to the HR Data Labs podcast. I'm your host, David Turetsky. Today we have a special guest, one of the other members of the WRKdefined podcast network, David Noe. David, how are you?
Cheers. Welcome.
Yeah.
I'm excited to be here.
And for those of you who are listening, he raised his Speakeasy HR podcast cup, and I will show him now. I actually have my HR Data Labs cup.
Are you on mute?
That I use literally every day because it has its catchphrase, "You are on mute," on it.
That is awesome. Very excited to be here today with you, sir.
Very excited to have you on, because one of the fun things about the WRKdefined podcast network is there are a lot of really brilliant hosts that we have on our network, and being able to speak to them and be able to cross-pollinate and be able to get some of the ideas that we have on these other really brilliant streams of information is really what makes the WRKdefined podcast network very different.
Yeah.
And so we're very happy to welcome you. And obviously we want to hear a little bit about Speakeasy HR.
Yeah.
But why don't you give us a little bit about your background as well?
Yeah, thanks. I really appreciate it. So I went through school thinking I'd be a professional golfer. That did not pan out. I played collegiate golf at the Division I level, was very driven to do that professionally and make money, but didn't pan out. And so I navigated through a few different jobs. I got to meet a lot of business owners, small to mid-sized business owners, and feel their struggle and frustration with employees and hiring and firing and benefits. And I'm like, seems like this could be a career. So then I learned really what HR is.
Right.
And here I am almost 2 decades later, working for payroll partners, doing a podcast. I'm a small business owner myself with my wife. So just very involved in the employee experience, involved in the client experience. And it's been a fun last couple of decades going through pandemics and system integrations and technology and meeting people like yourself that do podcasts.
And one of the fun things about podcasts as well is we do get to meet fun people, but we also get to really kind of take our creative side to the next level with the kinds of things we talk about. What are the kind of things you talk about on Speakeasy HR?
So it's a wide variety. I've had people talk about mental health, recruiting, technology, leadership development, career mapping, and I've got some really fun, exciting guests coming on in the next few months up through next summer. So I keep booking out, and every Monday, roughly when I do them live, it's on LinkedIn and YouTube, so people can listen, engage, and ask questions. And in the bourbon world, I actually had somebody from a distillery on, and she was talking about the mash bill of a career, and it was kind of a fun twist. So when I'm talking to somebody that's potentially in an industry or something that could bring a little creativity to the show, I let them bring that creativity and help me come up with the topic and the questions. And so it's kind of like their own unique episode. And so they're all a little different. And so I learn from every single person that I have on.
Yeah.
A lot of the questions that I bring to them, they know ahead of time, but people that listen and tune in, I think really enjoy it and learn from them too.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I definitely learned from my guests, and that's the reason why I love doing it. We've been doing it almost 5 years now, and I feel like first it was about just interviewing my friends, who I have a lot of CEOs, analysts, practitioners in the HR world who are my friends. But then beyond that, people said, hey, I'd like to be on the show. And so it kind of took on a life of its own from there.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's kind of how I started. I was like, okay, I've got this idea. Can I turn it into a podcast? Let me ask a few people. So I reached out to some folks, people that have been in HR, people that listen to podcasts. I'm like, look, would you come on the show if I did this? Have you seen something like this? And then it just grew from there. So I'm not in 5 years like you, but I've started last summer, and it's been a really fun ride, and just get to meet people and have conversations with people that I never would have.
Exactly. Well, good luck with it. We're here for you. We're going to support you. We'll obviously have links to the show in our show notes, and maybe we'll be able to do some cross pollination here.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely.
So, David, before we move forward, though, we ask every one of our guests on the HR Data Labs podcast, what's one fun thing that no one knows about David?
So it's not golf related, it's fishing related. When I was younger, I wanted to actually be a marine biologist, study sharks, study marine life, love to be on the water, grew up near a lake, Lake Erie, did a lot of fishing, but I went to St. Thomas with some family on a weekend trip when I was in college, and I caught a 500-pound blue marlin, which was about an hour fight. Wow. It was a lot of fun. To do something like that when you really have like a very small chance of doing it.
Right.
We were there on a weekend when a lot of people around the country go to this area to catch marlin. Mm-hmm. We felt like we had a good chance. The first day, nothing. Next day, we were out there. My two cousins and I would rotate. Every 30 minutes, we'd go sit in the captain's chair where you would fish. And all of a sudden, the line went, bzzz, and I'm like, oh my gosh, here we go. So I didn't rotate out of the chair. Once you're in the chair, you got to go.
Right.
So if anyone
has... They put the harness on you and everything?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So obviously that was, 20 plus years ago. So we didn't have iPhones back then. We didn't have, we had camcorders, so we were able to get it on video. But yeah, I wish I did it like more recent, so I'd have more pictures and video that was a little bit more recent, relevant, but it's okay.
But that's okay, because as part of the fish story now, that 500-pound marlin used to be 50 pounds, and it grew from there over the years.
Right?
And if you had video of it, you can't go, well, it was a 20-pound marlin. Oh, it was a 200-pound marlin. Oh, it was a 250-pound marlin.
500, yeah. Yeah.
So, by the way, I'm not saying you tell fish tales. I'm just saying that,
Hey, it's all right.
It goes from this to this to this.
It's okay.
So,
awesome.
So David, our topic today is one that's actually everybody really cares about, but there's very few people who have tons of expertise on it, and it's an employee experience.
Yeah.
And for those of you who studied EX or who are responsible for EX, this should be a really fun show. So today we're going to be talking about small changes, big impact, prioritizing employee experience without burning out.
Looking for the inside scoop on payroll? Whether you're a payroll pro or just curious about your paycheck, we've got two podcasts you cannot miss. It's About Payroll delivers the latest trends for payroll pros, and It's About Your Paycheck is here for employees, breaking down pay and rights in simple terms. Two great shows, two great hosts, and endless insights to keep you informed and empowered. Subscribe now and elevate your payroll knowledge. Brought to you by WRKdefined, where payroll meets people.
What employee experience initiatives should people prioritize when everything is just absolutely crazy and everything is urgent?
Yeah, it's a good question to start. And really it comes down to start with the moments that matter the most to your employees. And what I mean by that is onboarding, manager relationships, right? Communication during changes, recognition. All of that is different in industries and in career or different workplace settings if you're remote, in office. And that's still something that people are trying to navigate through. So not everybody not everybody's back in an office setting. You're still working with remote work. People that are not obviously able to be in a one-on-one meeting in person with the manager. So really those things are important. And second, it's you really got to listen then act, meaning identify those pain points, try to figure out like what your team feels like is going to be important to focus on. Get that feedback. Not that you can get feedback and then make all the changes that everyone thinks can happen, but you can take small steps to fix things, identify what people are saying, especially new employees. I just met with a new employee this morning. She started 6 weeks ago. Getting her perspective of being a part of our team after 6 weeks. What are we doing right? If there's friction, try to find that, remove it, show that you care, show that you have empathy. If there's lack of communication, broken tools, broken processes. So, a lot of that can't be done overnight. It's getting buy-in from managers, figuring out where they feel like there's improvements to be made, and then really help the managers. Like they are the people helping the employee experience for everybody. You and I sitting next to each other might have a completely different situation, completely different employee experience if our managers are different, if they are not showing you support. I mean, a lot of people leave companies because of the manager, not because of the company.
Yeah, that's the old phrase, right? People leave managers, not companies.
I've done it. Yeah. So again, you can't do everything overnight. You got to prioritize. Do fewer things better. So take small chunks, find things, celebrate those small changes. When everything really feels urgent, it's really hard to launch 10 things at once. Can't do that, right?
But I think one of the problems becomes listening skills, which you mentioned are critical in this.
Yeah,
are difficult because you have to cut through some of the noise and get to some of the heart of the matter, which is, especially when things are highly charged and there's a lot going on.
Right.
It's very difficult to pinpoint what's the issue, what's the problem, and be able to deal with one thing at a time, because everything does seem like everybody's hair is on fire.
Right. Yeah, and you might get a pulse survey back and you might get 70% to respond. And you might find some common themes in there that not everybody feels the same way, but majority do. And out of that group, a lot of them are probably looking for jobs, So like if they have good ideas and good creative thoughts about how to improve something, you've got to make some kind of impact in making those changes and really clearly communicate, the why, what's going to happen, because a lot of people don't like change, because as soon as you change something, it might really impact somebody else's perception, and then they might be upset.
Well, change always comes with the who moved my cheese, right? So, and when you're listening, you might be listening to one person's perspective, but the other people around them have a completely opposite perspective. So if you do make a change, and you make a change to solve the equation for one person, it could disenfranchise 90% of the other people in your group.
Yep. Yeah, and if you're 25 and I'm 45, not that I'm 45, close, but...
And I'm definitely not 25.
So if somebody has a 20-year gap in their career and they're in the same company, managed by the same person, again, it's generational. The younger generations are going to be motivated by different things. And, if you have everybody on your team that's 25, it might be a little easier to really navigate through that and make changes that 25-year-olds will like, right? But most people don't have just 25-year-olds on their team. They've got a mix. Older people still working, right?
Yes, I'm very much that person. But I would also say that one of the mistakes I've seen a lot of HR people make, or a lot of business owners, a lot of business managers make, is assuming they understand what that 25-year-old is thinking.
Yeah.
And assume they understand the priorities of the 25-year-old and the things that will make that 25-year-old happy.
Yep.
When people are different, and you can't just say millennials do this or millennials like that, because your millennials may not. Right. Your mileage may vary.
Exactly. And that's why I think, going back to the importance of recruiting in a way that you're hiring people for the skill set you need, the willingness to learn, somebody that is going to fit your culture. Not everybody is going to fit your culture, and that's okay. You might find somebody that can do the job, can really meet all your criteria, but if you feel like there's going to be somewhat of a misalignment with things that are said in an interview, like what are you looking for in a culture? What are you looking for in a company? Right. So I think more companies are trying to do that and hire more. They're trying to hire smarter, but sometimes you just don't have a choice. You got to hire people. You have jobs open. Recruiters are needing to hire, and they need to fill jobs, and they don't really care if they have the right personality or not.
Enjoying the conversation? Don't forget to hit subscribe so you never miss an episode packed with insights and strategies. Now, let's dive back in. Well, some of this, though, requires a little bit more work. And I want to get to the next question, which is, how do you improve employee experience without adding to the workload? And I'll go back to the example or some of the examples you gave about listening. You know, a lot of organizations are including things like check-ins into the manager-employee relationship.
Yep.
It adds a lot of work to both the manager and the employee.
Right.
How do you do that when everybody's hair is on fire? Again, going back to the earlier comment.
Yeah, I think it's setting the tone and really getting back to the, moments and the experience that really will matter. So if you are not checking in with your employees, if you're a manager, I know some managers have a lot of direct reports.
Oh, yeah.
It's not easy, right?
Mm-hmm.
So having those performance reviews once a year or quarterly, that's good, but is that really helping you understand your team better? And if companies have a manager with 50 direct reports, maybe it's time to reevaluate how you're setting your structure of management. Having one-on-one meetings, I think, in the long run, if you have less direct reports and you have potentially more managers that are going to connect with team members, support them, encourage them, be a mentor, get their feedback consistently, you're going to have less turnover. You're going to have people that feel like they can really do the job as a manager, show that empathy that's needed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that is really important.
Well, one of the things you're highlighting right now is span of control, which is that managers who have 50, and I know that you're being intentionally giving an example of a broad manager there, but having 50 people means that if you tried to get a quarterly check-in, maybe you could do that, right? You can schedule that, but try getting monthly check-ins,
right?
Or weekly check-ins. There's no way you can spend the appropriate amount of time with everybody in order to be able to satisfy what they need. And the problem is, a lot of organizations have taken layers out. Mm-hmm. And what that delayering has done is it's made it impossible for managers to be able to have that time.
Right. And
so they're not managers anymore. They're more like farmers or more like sheep herders.
Yep.
Where, you're not spending one-on-one time with each sheep. You're just making sure they stay in the pack and going generally the right direction.
Yep. We were just talking about this on Monday. I had Bob Goodwin on my podcast, and he was talking about, on his podcast with Johnny C. Taylor talking about mid-management and trying to scrape that out. And, not everyone's cut out to be a manager. A lot of them are not trained prior to be a manager the first time. So you get people that get promoted into a managerial role.
Oh, yeah.
That aren't ready, or they're now managing their colleagues that they once were friends with, and now they have to manage them. So that makes it a little bit more.
Well, it's the whole Peter principle, right? They rise to their level of incompetence.
Yep.
And
exactly.
Sorry, Peter, if you're listening, but no, it's not an attack on you. It's just that's the problem, is that we find someone who's really good at something. We elevate their role to a management position because we think that'll incentivize them. They have no skills in it. To your point, how many people are taking management classes? Nobody. Some managers are actually born. Yeah. Most of us have to learn from good managers. And so that's one of the problems, is that we assume just because you're being promoted, automatically the next day, the management fairy comes and hits you on the head with the wand, and all of a sudden you've got all the skills necessary.
Right. Now, I think there are tools out there that are being created to really help navigate a conversation between a manager and an employee. So having a good pulse on where they're at. Are they engaged? Are they disengaged? Are they the next ones probably to quit? What struggles are they having? Performance, attendance, complaints from a client, and so tools are out there that will give a manager those talking points to make it a lot more structured in a way that they know what they need to talk about in that manager one-on-one meeting. So it's taking less pre-work, preparation, would you say, in getting ready for those meetings, but it's still showing that employee that the person cares, they understand their struggle right now, and how can they help.
I think the bigger problem that you mentioned before, David, though, was the listening part.
Mm-hmm.
And people who become managers need to be much better listeners than they are when they're employees.
Yeah.
And I think that's a bigger skill to judge whether or not people will be good supervisors or managers than we give it credit for.
Yeah, and there's all kinds of assessments out there, that you can really understand your people better, your culture better, your next leadership, group within your organization. So
Right.
People do rely on that kind of data and the technology that they might not know everything that's going to be going on in their company, but
Sure.
they're trying to get the right tools in place to help them be successful.
We've gone through almost an entire episode and we haven't brought up artificial intelligence, but and then I'll blame myself for this because we've been talking about it every episode anyways. There's a new set of glasses that have artificial intelligence built into them. They're called Halliday. And they are regular glasses. They have black frames, not clear frames, right? Like these.
Yeah.
And there's a green screen that shows up in one of the lenses that shows only to the person who's got them on. And where you were going with this in terms of what to say and what to do, wouldn't it be cool that when a manager is in a meeting with an employee that they had prompts that were given to them to say, hey, if they mention that, this is a good way of being able to retort.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like real time, being able to help them in situations. And, it's kind of what a lot of people in HR roles have to do is kind of coach, support the managers, get them prepared for meetings, be a part of write-up meetings, PIPs, terminations, that kind of stuff. So yeah, I know there are jobs that will be created because of AI. We don't know what those are. I've seen a lot of stats that 85% of jobs in 2030 haven't been created yet. It's like, wow, it's a lot of jobs,
And what's even fascinating about that is that the people who are going to write those articles aren't people anymore. They're going to be AI. So
you're going to have AI agents talking to AI agents about recruiting. And so, recruiters will not go away. People will still have to be human.
Yeah.
But some of the nuances of the whole recruiting process, we've already seen companies get in some heat with how they are selecting people and how they're filtering people. So it's going to continue to change.
Yeah, the company we've talked about the Workday issue on this podcast many times, but the blind allegiance to the way HR technology has been configured in the past hopefully will go away.
Yeah.
And people will take the time to learn.
Yeah.
This is how I have to do it.
Yep, absolutely.
So let's transition to the third question, because I think this is actually going to help us kind of set a path, which is what small changes can create the biggest impact on employee satisfaction?
A couple things. Recognition, listening to your employees, the unexpected thank you. I don't know if you remember a time where someone told you thank you, but I don't really go into work every day waiting for someone to tell me thank you. Like I don't do that. A simple thank you goes a long way for some people. And it really can dramatically change the morale of that person.
Oh, yeah.
Public recognition, a quick Slack shout out, handwritten note, those things.
Oh, yeah.
They take a little time and effort, but they can be so impactful to people that really can shine after they see that they are getting recognized. So whatever your recognition program is, maybe reevaluate it and see what's working, what's not. We have a small team, 45 people. We have an employee of the month parking space. People
That's
love to use that. Our clients see it every day. They come by our office and they see employee of the month. So those little things, try to improve communication, clarify it, make sure you have clear communication that's coming from leadership, management, and really another one, it's respect, like respecting people, respecting their time, avoid having meetings that aren't needed. You can really tell a lot about a company when you hear about how many meetings they have.
Right.
So maybe try to eliminate meetings that aren't fully necessary to have in a meeting setting.
Well, it takes a lot of discipline, David. I mean, that last one, I've seen lots of things on LinkedIn where people are talking about it. It becomes almost a holy war of, people getting all incensed on both sides, by the way, being able to drive consensus, but also at the same time, respecting people's time.
Yeah.
And they don't realize how much wasted time they're spending on LinkedIn arguing about it.
Right. Yeah.
But no, seriously though, I actually have started to ask people, why are we meeting?
Yeah.
And they get mad. They go like, what do you mean? We have to meet on this. Why do we have to meet? What's the purpose? What are we trying to get? What's the outcome are we trying to get to?
Right.
To your point before, listen, learn, react.
Yeah. It's not like earth-shattering brand new concepts. I think it's just those core fundamentals that I think a lot of people and a lot of companies just aren't focused on as much. And they just need to go back to that. Maybe they were there at some point. They've changed. Leadership's changed. Management's changed. Acquisitions have happened, right? So it's like trying to uncover those things and get back to the small wins, the ways, and really finding out how people feel motivated, how they feel recognized, how they feel empowered. Because again, 10 years ago, we had, obviously pre-pandemic, we had people that were very set on their career and their paycheck. And now it's like they want to feel empowered. They want, the generation coming out from college and out of school, their motivation is completely different.
Yeah.
So it's really connecting with those people. If you're really hiring people out of school, you're going to really have to understand what makes a 22-year-old tick.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah. I'd also say, though, that I'm looking or hoping that employers do the opposite as well. Listen to the people that are there now who are in their 60s and ask them what they need, whether or not they're ready for retirement and preparation for retirement, and whether or not they want to stick around for a while. A lot of people, because of 2008 and subsequent disasters in the stock market or bad decisions, they can't leave.
Right.
And assuming that someone who's 65 is going to walk away, that may be a really dumb assumption these days. So not just your 22-year-olds, but also the 65-year-olds. And you're going to have a lot of 65-year-olds based on the economic bubbles I've been seeing.
Yeah.
So
exactly. Yeah, and I think reverse mentoring is something that can help, right? So looking at your mentorship program, if you have any kind of mentor opportunities within the organization. I mean, again, everybody, I feel like, has the intent of working hard and doing a good job, but you're not going to get 100% out of everybody every day. People have lives. People have families. I mean, I was just talking about it yesterday about my kids are in sports, and just the ongoing year-round demand of traveling and getting kids to places at 5:00 in the afternoon on the weekends. It's like, it is difficult, especially when you have multiple kids in multiple sports, and then parents are trying to work. So,
right,
the non-work life of people, working parents, it just continues to be a demand to keep up.
And, to your point before, whether it's remote work, whether it's OTR and returning to the office and being able to support people with some flexibility, you have to listen to them. Mm-hmm. And you have to be able to make sure that your requirements as a manager, as a leader, fit what their expectations are of your flexibility and their ability to actually have a life and have a family.
Right. Yep.
We all have lives. We all have families. We don't all work to work. We work to live.
Right.
And that's got to be taken into consideration, because otherwise you're ignoring EX completely.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. When I talk to people, when we're filling jobs and I'm talking to applicants, I try to ask them, like, what's your ideal situation in your next job? Is it working from home? Is it a hybrid role? You know, what kind of involvement do you want in the company? How do you want to get to the next step in your career? Is that not happening in your company now? Like, what are you not getting?
Right.
So I try to ask the right questions in interviews to really have a better idea, like, okay, we have what this person wants. They don't have a certification. They want to be certified. We're promoting that. We're paying for that. People like to see that.
Yeah.
And if they're not getting that opportunity now in their company, that goes a long way. And it really has helped us find people that are not getting what they want in their current company. And it's beyond having a bad manager. It's no growth. It's
right.
No promotion opportunities. It's variety of reasons. And so I try to really make sure that the people I'm talking to potentially bring on to our team that's growing has an understanding of what it's going to be like working with us in the next few years. So we can really align us with their employee experience not recommendations, but expectations, right?
Expectations, yeah.
So
I got to tell you, one thing you can't tell them is the grass is always greener, because no one wants to hear that anymore.
Man, yeah.
That is not a good answer to people. And dude, just forget that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
David, it's been a pleasure having you on the show.
It's been a pleasure too to be on here, David. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you very much, and I really appreciate it. And thank you all for listening. Take care and stay safe. Thanks for listening to the HR Data Labs podcast. Don't forget to subscribe and share with your network. Also, check out the HR Data Labs Brown Bag Lunch every Friday on YouTube. Stay safe.